Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here today with Jason McTiernan. He is back on the channel. He's been here a couple of times before. I'm so excited to have him back here again today. He has had his own really incredible CFS recovery journey, and then now just does really great work with others who are working to overcome similar conditions. And his past videos are some of my most popular on the channel. So back by popular demand. Thank you so much for doing this today, Jason.
Yeah, so I recovered from chronic fatigue syndrome. I was ill for 11 years. I had a huge array of symptoms. At my worst, I was bedbound for up to a month at a time. And yeah, I tried everything to heal over the 11 years. And then I found brain retraining and I was fully better 2 months after finding it. So yeah, that's my story.
Yeah, and I know that's the super fast version. But for those of you that aren't aware of Jason's story, it really is a powerful one. It is quite the journey, and his recovery was really remarkable. So I'll link on the screen here and the video description his first 2 videos here on the channel. If you haven't seen them, I highly recommend you check them out. But today we're going to dive into, because now you've been working for quite a few years with many other people who have also recovered, that you've helped support to recover. And there's a lot of characteristics in these people that you've noticed over time. So today we're going to dive into 16 of those characteristics that you have noticed with people that you're working with. And for people watching, stick around to the end, because we've saved some of the best or maybe the more surprising ones to the end. Yeah, I'm super excited to jump into this. I feel like we need a drum roll or something. We'll get my editor to put some drums in there. Okay, dive right in.
Yeah, so after helping people for the past 5 years all around the world, people getting better using my program, and so I noticed 16 things. So 16 things amongst all of them. So the first thing that I noticed is a growth mindset. So really developing and embracing a growth mindset. So what is that? It sounds quite simple. It kind of is, but it takes some time to actually implement that. So when I was ill, I actually did not have a growth mindset whatsoever. When I was doing something, if there was some kind of challenge or obstacle, if there was many things that were like challenges, when I started something, I thought, oh, that wasn't meant for me, or it wasn't meant to be, or something like that, and I would probably give up. So instead of that, what I did was I started to view things as an opportunity. So challenges are an opportunity to learn and grow, and that includes overcoming chronic fatigue. I know that it may not feel like that, and it didn't feel like that when I was going through it, but on the other side, the amount of growth that you can get from this is absolutely phenomenal. So it's having a positive outlook. It's looking for the silver lining in things. It's like glass half full kind of perspective. It's just having like that positive belief and determination that you can improve things.
Years ago, I feel like a really powerful example of this is when I did my master's degree in social work, and one of my professors was also a counselor for families of abused children, and horrific circumstances. And when he worked with the parents, he'd say like, this situation is horrible, end of sentence. But what's great about this situation, which is a really hard thing to hear, but it stuck with me over these years, because his message is that in every situation there is something, like, it brought the family closer together. We've refocused on what's important to us, things like that. So when you can switch your focus onto how you're growing and learning, and in life, when this happens to me, it's tough, because when I'm angry and crappy things are happening and I hear this in my head, what's great about this situation? And sometimes it's like poison. I'm like, I can't even think about it. But if I, give myself some time and come back to it, I can always find something. So yeah, I think that's a great one.
So this one is self-compassion. Self-compassion is absolutely vital. It's one of the most important things, actually, for people overcoming chronic fatigue, because they're all type A overachievers. I used to push myself way too much to total extremes. I was never listening to my body. I was always listening to my mind and what I thought I should do or have to do or must do. So instead of shutting all over yourself, what I'd like you to do is to become much more self-compassionate. It's essential. It's completely essential to become self-compassionate. It doesn't mean that you're resting all the time. It actually means that you're being proactive in your recovery and doing things to help and support your recovery.
Another massive one comes up in so many of the stories, the interview stories that I do. People talk about self-compassion, and it's a game changer. I mean, it just brings your stress down. It does so many things.
And it builds sustainable recovery as well. It's like, I remember when I was trying to heal, I built up to like walking 40 minutes a day. But then I thought, oh, I'm getting better now, so I don't have to do any of the things that were helping me to get better. And then I had a crash. This is before I did brain retraining, but self-compassion is huge. You got to change how you relate to yourself so that you have a healthy, balanced lifestyle on the other side of this. It's so important.
When you are that type A kind of overachiever personality, a lot of that comes with that. It's just driving yourself hard and being hard on yourself and not even realizing how we talk to ourselves in our head all of the time. Like how unforgiving we are with ourselves and how exacting and what the perfectionism that's there. So yeah, that's I think a really powerful long-term tool for sustaining recovery as well once you come out the other side.
Okay. Next thing is gratitude. So gratitude is so incredibly important. I know that it's not something that I used to feel or practice for the most of when I was ill, but as I was getting better, I started to tune into gratitude because gratitude is so incredibly important. When we're grateful for things, I believe it increases your happiness at least a good 30 or 40%. The reason why is because like sometimes people they have nothing, but they're super grateful for all the experiences and the people and the memories and everything that they have in their life. And other people, they have seemingly everything on the surface, but they're not happy because maybe they're stuck in that type A overachiever. Yeah, gratitude for your recovery, for people that are in your life that you really loved and that care for you, for all of the awesome experiences that you had. And I even started to tune into gratitude for things that I was grateful for that hadn't even happened yet. So feeling grateful that I was, going to be getting better and better and towards full recovery, you can tune into those emotions as well. And I started to express gratitude towards other people that had influenced, me in terms of my recovery and stuff, or any other area of my life. And that felt really awesome as well. And sharing that gratitude with other people is even better. So that's quite profound as well.
And I find too, it's important to have a conscious approach towards your gratitude because it's not just going to happen by chance. You're going to forget about it. So having some kind of ritual or routine in your day, like for a really long time, my husband and I had the practice that at dinner, we'd ask each other, what was your favorite part of today? Because I noticed for a while, it seemed like dinner was just us complaining about our days. And I thought, this isn't good. But so my point being, when you have this practice, you know what's coming. So all day long, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'll tell him this was my favorite part of today, or maybe that. And it creates a bias towards gratitude. And all of a sudden it shifts your filter of the world because you start looking for good things. So yeah, I find it could be really powerful. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Belief in recovery. So this is, oh my goodness. I noticed that it's not just belief in recovery. I've noticed that all the people that have helped to recover, they have a tenacious belief in recovery. They're kind of like whatever diagnosis they've been given. It's kind of like an attitude that, you know what, that's fine. You can put that label on me, but I'm going to get better anyway. So yeah, it's really like having a strong belief in recovery, knowing that you can do it. Maybe not knowing, exactly how when I started. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but I started to build on that belief, and that was so incredibly important. That without that, nothing would have worked.
And we talked about this a bit the last time you were on the channel. I'll link that video up here for people who haven't seen it, where we did a deep dive on some brain training strategies. And you talked about the nocebo strategy or the nocebo effect, where when you don't believe in something, sort of the opposite of the placebo, then you can also have that impact. So if you're not believing in recovery, or if you're not believing in any of the recovery strategies, I think it's going to be really challenging to get there. So yeah, I think
so it can be a night and day change. Believing in recovery, it can lead to like all kinds of awesome things. Next thing is action takers. So I've noticed that not only that people have like an achiever pattern, of course, but also taking really positive action and taking full responsibility for your recovery. So I've noticed this as well, that it's the people that they just decide, okay, I'm going to get better. I'm going to do everything I can to get better, taking full responsibility, not looking for like miracle cures or some kind of magic pill. Or, I mean, I was doing that initially when I was trying to get better, because we're all kind of conditioned that, if we're ill, we go to the doctor, we get a medication or something, and then we get better. Basically, yeah, I needed to change my perspective and be very totally committed to my recovery and deciding to do like whatever that I could do to help myself to get better. But at the same time, not overwhelming myself, trying to do everything at the same time, but doing what I felt was most important. And taking that full responsibility. So I kind of felt like a bit of a victim, I guess, when I was ill first and received the diagnosis, and suddenly so many changes in my life and not being able to do pretty much anything. It kind of victimizes you a little bit, but it's turning that around and being able to see it as an opportunity to actually learn and grow and to become a better person, and taking full responsibility to actually make it happen.
It's amazing, and I say this all the time, but how so many of these things apply to so many areas of life. And I think it's just what makes people successful generally with things. Like I used to work in digital innovation, and we used an approach, like there's an approach in IT where you very much have to have a bias towards action, because it can be easy to get stuck researching and reading, or, watching videos and planning and not wanting to embark on anything until you think you can do it perfectly. But it's the people who just kind of just act, their biases towards action, that get the most results out of most things in life. Not everything's going to work, and you're going to fail sometimes, but ultimately that's how you get places. So that's I think a really, really important one.
The other thing is consistency. So having a long-term focus. So this is something that I definitely struggled with in the past. It basically was that I was looking for that magic cure. So I would try something, and I would not completely fully commit to it and expect that I was going to get better in a week or a day or a month. And that wasn't the case. Building consistency and having that long-term focus so that you're willing to put in the work now, so that then you're going to be better in 2 or 3 or 4 months or however long it takes. Seeing it through to the end. Having delayed gratification as well. So you're willing to put in that effort, you're planting those seeds, and then you're looking forward to that crop later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something we hear a lot in ME/CFS recovery is consistency over intensity, which I think is really important, whether it's meditation or a movement program or whatever it is that you're working on. But just doing that, what you can every single day, can go a really long way. I always talk about trajectory, my favorite word, but in those moments, it can feel like what you're doing isn't really getting you anywhere. But when you step back and you look at kind of the you look at the trajectory that this is putting you on, you see that in the long term, it actually is getting you towards your goals. And I guess it's just finding ways to motivate yourself, or not motivate yourself, but, you can kind of shorten that feedback loop of reward, like whether it's you've got a calendar where you check off every day that you do something, or, you give yourself a treat or reward, just to keep yourself going. Because, yeah, you're right. It can take time, and you have to stick to it to the end. And we need to find these little hacks to keep us going.
Next one is having strong reasons to heal. So having a very strong why. That was totally essential in everyone that I've helped to get fully better, including myself. If I just wanted to get better and just have a normal life, that's okay. But even better is that if you have specific things that you would love to do. And it can be simple things. It could be, I wanted to be able to just cycle, hike, climb mountains. I think initially I was setting goals like climbing mountains all over the world and things like this. Something, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be very specific to you, and that's even better. But yeah, something that really draws you forwards, something that's motivating, that you don't feel like you're having to put yourself, you're drawn towards these things. That is incredibly important as well. Next thing is being open-minded and willing to change. I definitely struggled with this in the past. I doubted brain retraining for 8 years. I found it 8 years before I actually did it. So yeah, I was quite skeptical. I thought that they were just telling me that it was all in my mind or something, which was not the case actually. So yeah, all the symptoms and everything are real. I just wasn't open enough, but I gradually opened my mindset and my awareness to many kind of alternative treatments and things. And brain retraining then was the thing that made all the difference. But yeah, being open-minded is huge. I know that, even brain retraining and lots of other things, it can feel like it's totally out of the ordinary, or pseudoscience or whatever. And I was thinking that for many years. I was kind of like a skeptic of brain retraining, to be honest. I was probably one of those people that was skeptical on the comments underneath the video or something. And now here I am today helping people, all around the world to get better with it. So yeah, I think being open-minded, it can radically change your life, even beyond getting better as well.
And I think there's two very severe different sides to this that we can see with recovery from conditions like ME/CFS. I think of my mother, who, I talk about a lot. She had this condition for, 30 years or something. And in the beginning, she was very open-minded. She tried everything under the sun, no matter what people suggested. She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. I don't care how crazy it sounds. I'll find the money. But in time, I think she just got tired of getting her hopes up, and she got jaded, and she just didn't want to hear it anymore. And then it just completely shut down. So, I get it cannot always be so easy. And there are very real reasons why we lose that ability sometimes to be open-minded. And maybe we don't have to be that way every day, but if we can find ways to bring ourselves back there, because if we don't stay there, how we might be shutting out some things that actually could help us.
It totally was. And so, that's so important. And the next thing is focus. So doing the one thing that's going to help you to get better, not trying to do like absolutely everything to treat every simple symptom that you have, because normally people have like such a huge array of symptoms. I had as well. I was trying to treat those symptoms, and it was kind of like trying to treat the leaves of a tree, and the tree was like ill, and it just needed maybe some water or nutrients to get better. Dealing with the root cause, that's the thing that's going to make all the difference for you. I'm not saying that's like identical the same for everyone, but there are definitely common things amongst all the people that I helped to get better. Like that gives you a lot of leverage when you're focused on one thing or maybe just two things or three things at the same time, rather than trying to spread yourself too thin and not really noticing progress because you're like spreading yourself in all kinds of areas.
That's such a good one. I did this and I hear so many other people doing it. Like we end up with this sort of checklist for every day or every week that we think we're supposed to do. Like I remember I'm like, I have to do like skin brushing when that was a big thing. And I have to make some green juice and I have to do some meditation and I have to get into the sauna and I have to do my gratitude practice and I have to do, it just felt like 1,000 things I had to do every day and it's overwhelming. And then you just, no focus at all.
So the next thing is creating a new chapter of your life. So replacing old ways of being. I noticed that there were various habits that I had, like just like the one of like pushing myself way too much, being an overhelper, being a perfectionist. Those old ways of being, I needed to replace those for new ways of being. And I've noticed that as well. It's tough. Sometimes it can take some time to change patterns because, whatever we repeatedly do, our unconscious mind will store that as a program or a pattern. And that's kind of like the default mode. So it's being willing to really change that default mode of your habits. An excellent book on that is like Atomic Habits. I would recommend that for sure. But creating a whole new chapter of your life, being willing to put the illness and everything in the past and just move forward. The next thing is saying hell yes to doing what you love. Totally going for it. Whatever you would love to do, go do it. So I remember I started to watch like rom-coms and stuff to help myself to feel more relaxed. As silly as it sounds, I don't care now, but at the time I was like, I felt a little bit weird watching rom-coms. But anything that I could do to help myself to feel better, and anything that I could enjoy, to really do that. It's you got to say hell yes to the things that you would love to do. Sometimes it involves also saying no to the things that you feel are not right for you. Because then you're creating space for the things that you'd love to do.
Yeah, I heard a saying somewhere along those lines. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And that's one for me where I protect my time and my energy. I love the hell yes focus because then you're really zeroing on the good stuff. But I'm glad that you brought up, it's also about like, what's not for you? Like, what am I wasting my energy on? Like, let's just be real about it. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Next thing is building a balanced lifestyle. Basically, building a balanced lifestyle, that's going to give you sustainable recovery. So that is, you cannot skip that step. It's not about, I was focused on getting better, and that was my complete focus for so many years. But you know what? I needed to focus on also building a healthy lifestyle that was going to be completely sustainable. Doing things that you find purposeful as well, so finding some kind of purpose, connection. So building like really awesome connections with people, focusing on being present instead of being in that achiever mode all the time and thinking about things, being present and enjoying life, and doing anything you can to improve your happiness. You want your recovery to be completely sustainable and enjoy that for the rest of your life. So building those habits.
And it's still something that I'm working on. I'm very open about that. It's tough. When I came out of my illness, I thought I had figured it all out and I had this new balanced approach to life. And I think my book ends up with some poetic section on how I'm a new person and I will never be, that old person again. And then when life comes back and it takes time. It's building new habits. It's changing your thinking and changing your responses.
So the next thing is inner peace. This one is probably more important than any of the rest, I would say, personally myself anyways. Building inner peace, really working on relaxation. By working on relaxation, I was switching off the stress response. I was switching on the parasympathetic nervous system, assisting and allowing my body to heal. We're designed to be healthy naturally. So basically, I needed to stop those old patterns in order to help my body to heal. By doing that and really embracing it, I noticed that I was able to get so much more energy. So it wasn't immediate. It wasn't like straight away the first day I noticed energy, but I started to notice my energy increasing more and more as the symptoms were fading and my body was healing. I'm going to be 39 soon. But I was 20 when I got ill, and honestly, my energy level, my stamina, like everything, strength is greater than it was before. And it's because, you know what? I never felt this relaxed before. I was always putting pressure on myself. I never had that inner sense of peace. I used to feel like a pressure in my chest before with that achiever pattern. I used to push myself so much and tell myself that I had to do all kinds of things all the time. And then what I did was, with the brain retraining, I really helped myself to take that pressure off, to be much more present, to enjoy the present moment, and build a sense of like openness. So I would describe it as an openness in my chest and a feeling of like just inner peace. And every one of my clients, that is profound for them. When they really start to access that and tap into it, and that builds like you don't have to worry about your energy after that. You basically have energy to do anything. The next one is basically being unapologetically you. Not giving an F about what anyone else thinks. So basically doing anything that you feel is right for you. I started to do that, and that was actually a big part of recovery, because I think I was too worried about what other people thought or what they expected or whatever. I kind of felt like I was being selfish by focusing on my recovery even sometimes, by relaxing and sometimes having to say no to people's demands and things while I was recovering. But that was essential. That was really essential, because oftentimes people that are overcoming chronic fatigue, they're kind of selfless. They're overgivers. So you got to put yourself first. It's not being selfish at all, actually. It's just being normal and looking after yourself and doing things that are right for you.
And is selfish being bad? We've really stigmatized that word, but it's self-care, essentially. It's putting yourself first, which we really need to do. So yeah, that's really important. Yep.
The next one is connecting with your tribe. So this is really important. So I remember I was connecting with Victoria. So shout out to Victoria from California. We were both recovering at the same time, and I was sharing like audios and messages and everything with her and other people as well. It's really important to actually buddy up with people who are also getting better, and maybe to connect with people also that have also gotten fully better too, because having that strong connection and having that support, it makes it so much easier. Because, there are some tough times. I remember it wasn't like completely smooth sailing when I was getting better. It wasn't like all of a sudden, I'm fully better after a day or a week of doing brain retraining. It took some time. The low days that I had, basically, they were like my best days before. So it started to get better and better. But having that support is really essential, and encouraging and inspiring each other, showing each other what's possible. And you kind of have that like healthy camaraderie of like, oh, you can do that. Oh, I want to do that as well. And you start building towards it. So I think it's really, really essential to connect with like-minded people who are on the same path, that have that growth mindset. The last one, which is incredibly important as well, putting it behind them. So everyone that I've helped, they put the illness behind them. As people are recovering, it's really important to actually start using past tense terminology as well. So instead of saying, I feel tired this morning or something like that, saying, I used to feel tired like that, but I'm really looking forward to feeling energetic in the morning. It's like changing your terminology, your language, but also changing your identity. Instead of identifying yourself as someone who has chronic fatigue, or even someone who's healing for chronic fatigue, starting to identify more and more with someone who's overcome it. And that's a gradual process. It takes a little bit of time. It's not like, telling yourself that you're fully better straight away when you're not. You've got to be genuine, but starting to embrace the next chapter of your life and that next phase of recovery is really important. And, eventually you want to put it completely behind you, live your life. Chronic fatigue can be something that it was an experience that you went through, but on the other side of it, your life is so much better in many, many ways. And, the growth and learning and understanding that you have is probably things that you never even expected. Like for me now, like I never had the lifestyle that I have now. I never had that as like a goal or a plan, or it would never have happened only for I went through chronic fatigue syndrome. So it's amazing what can happen on the other side. But yeah, really putting chronic fatigue behind you gradually as you recover is so important as well.
This is such a massive one. And I get so many people messaging me about this, asking, I think we're going to have to devote some videos just to this topic, because people coming out of this, and it's uncharted territory, and it can be scary. And people find themselves sometimes living in fear, or every time they feel unwell, is it back? And just, so much of how to navigate that and move on with your life and put down that trauma and keep going. It's a really big one. So yeah, I think I see why we saved that one for the end.
So yeah, those are the 16 things that I noticed. I'm sure there's many other things that I could notice as well, but I think these are really, really important. It took quite a while to adopt all of these things when I was recovering, but yeah, it made such a massive difference.
Yeah, these are great. Probably any one of these could have been their own video, because they're all really big and really important topics. So I really appreciate you sharing all of this. And this has come from, a lot of the work that you're doing with people who are recovering. So for people who aren't aware, or people who are interested in learning more about the work that you do with people who are recovering, what does that look like?
So yeah, I have a full online brain retraining program. And so I basically coach people for 6 weeks. So once every week. They also have access to all the materials for a whole year. And I basically have videos that are very specifically tailored to helping people overcome chronic fatigue, post-COVID, and fibromyalgia as well. I've distilled it down to what is the essence of the things that you need to do to get better. Not trying to do everything, but really specific to brain retraining. I deliver tons of one-to-one support. It's really important to have that one-to-one support. I was receiving that when I was getting better as well. But yeah, I actually give full access to people, so they can actually message me anytime, even on a Sunday. I'm there for them. That's really essential in order to make that full recovery.
That's amazing. And I've interviewed people who have worked with you and gone through your program and recovered, and just are, living and thriving and got their life back. So I'm so grateful to you and to everything that you're doing to help people, that you've come through this horrible experience, but now you're just doing so much good with it. So thank you for everything you do. And then thank you so much for your time once again here on the channel. I know people will be grateful to have you back. Thank you to those of you who are watching. And I'd love to hear your feedback on topics that you'd like to see. Is there anything that we talked about today that you'd like to hear more about? Or is there something that isn't really covered you really feel needs to be addressed? Please let me know in the comments, because I'm working hard to bring things to you that are relevant and are helpful in your journey. Big hugs to all of you. Keep at it, whatever you're facing. You have totally got this. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.